Cutbill Lenane. And thank you. So anyway, I'm going to stand because I feel a little weird. I don't know. So I wanted to, there's a lot of new faces here, and I wanted to kind of give you a kind of a background of these events, and then also welcome the people that have known me for a long time or have been to these events before, including my mother, who has come all the way from North Carolina. And we say at this age, longtime friends. We don't say old friends. Dear friends, we can say dear friends. So Pat and Shirley, who have also come from far away, who I've known my entire life. And the crazy thing is, and this is what happens in this room, and this is what feeds my soul, is that people come together in the wildest ways. So, I used to advertise in the movie theater for a long time now. I advertise in the taxis, not only for real estate, but for a man, as you all know. Anyway, but that's a side story. But anyway, we had one of the ladies here tonight see my ad and recognize my middle name, which is my mom's name. So she wrote to me on Facebook and said, is your mother Roberta Cutbill? Was she the school nurse teacher in Belmore? And I said, yes, she was. So anyway, so she came, but then when she got the bios last night, she looked at them and said, oh my gosh, Pat Gorgeous is going to be there, and she is my 4th grade teacher. So she has not only brought her school picture, which has Pat in a poncho back in the 60s, but also her report card, and I think that she's actually saying, I think I was much better in reading than you put the she won the great exactly. She won the kids. So she's lobbying. So I want you really to look at those bios, and the reason for that is there is so much commonality, even more than we share in those bios, and that's why I pushed you to do them, because we can help each other in the room, and I really want you to feel free. If anybody doesn't want anybody to contact them, raise your hand now. But if anybody needs anything from me, if anybody needs anything from this room, I encourage you to reach out to them, because that's why I send them to you. And I also encourage you, how many women in here are single? Okay, there's a lot, okay? So I also am going to be doing singles events. So, and those are really important. And they're really important for a variety of reasons, because we, it's important for us to, feel like we've got kind of support. But also I am going to, and anybody know about consignment shops? Yeah. So I'm going to do an event next month, and I want you to just kind of look on the Wise and Wonderful Woman Facebook page. If you haven't joined it, please join it, because it's going to help you see what the events are. But I'm actually going to have an event where I have the single women come, and you must bring a single good guy. Yes. And it's kind of like a good guy that was good, that will be wonderful for somebody else, but not for you. So right? Right. Okay, well, all right, so the other thing is, if you are interested, I'm speaking on a panel now that I have become kind of this expert on insane dating techniques. I am going to be speaking on a panel at the Y, the 92nd Street Y, on the 18th of this month. So if anybody knows if anybody's single, if anybody wants to attend it, please do. It's not a really big room, and there's a great panel of a variety of different people. So I encourage you to come to that. So I also want to tell you that there are upcoming events that are going to be plastic surgeons. We're going to have family secrets because Danny Shapiro wrote a book called Inheritance, which talks about family secrets, but it's really opened up a dialogue of, kind of talking about, like, who's your family? What does family really mean? We have a lot of health and wellness coming up, and again, we're going to be doing some singles events. So, I want to be able to call up our speakers, and okay, so let me just tell you one other thing. Everybody's been asking me about what happened with my dating ad. So I'm just going to cut to the chase. It has been it was very definitely interesting. 12 million people have seen the ad, and for those of you that don't know, I advertised in a New York City taxi and said, I'm Aunt Cutbill Lenane, aka Annie Gets It Done, because I've been able to do everything in my life. But the one thing I haven't been able to do is find a wonderful single divorced man to remarry. And I said, if you love your mother but still don't live with her, and you can appreciate a fit and fabulous 56-year-old, feel free to give me a call. So what's happened is that many thousands of men around the world, like really around the world, mostly in like the manly states, I'm sorry I'm being sexist and not PC, but any like Southern, Texas, Minnesota, I am their girl. So New York City, they think I can hunt, I can deer hunt clearly, I'm a deer hunter. So anyway, also many people in jail. So. Because I did say, if you love your mother, and when I got a letter from a guy, and it said, at the end of the 4-page letter, it says, do me a favor, could you please text my mother, Miss Patricia, she's the best. And so I was like, okay, great. And I said, well, loves his mother, he's letting me know, check. Doesn't live with her, because it's from the correctional facility, check. But I was not specific enough to say, and not currently incarcerated. So that's my bad. So anyway. I'm still out there, but I am actually going to put in a taxi ad, which I'm going to film with a fantastic videographer, Tyler, and he not only does all my videos for real estate, but he also has to painstakingly sit through all of the crazy videos that I put together all the time. But anyway, so we're going to do another one that's going to talk about what a success that this has been, because it was not about the guy. I knew that. It was about owning my age, and it was about female empowerment, about saying, there's nothing wrong with saying that you're single. There's nothing wrong with saying that you're looking for love. Don't we all want love? But it was so amazing that so many women said to me, oh my God, you're so brave. And I thought, why is it that I'm so brave? Because I said I was 56? Because that's kind of scary. But it was that I said, I have something that I want, I'm going for it. And I obviously did it in a very public, crazy way. But I want us all to have that. It was crazy and wild. No, but because that's all they do is watch TV.
He was picked up on television.
It was everywhere. It was on every television show, and I guess that's all they do is watch TV. That's your tax dollars at work. But anyway, so anyway, I just want to just tell you that I am going to be putting ads in the taxis about it has been a great success, because it has been a great success, because it's opened up a dialogue, and I've got women saying, you go girl, and they were just proud of me, and I want us all to be proud of each other, because I want us all to go for it in small and big ways, and it doesn't have to be a New York City taxi, but I want you to look at those bios and look at how badass we all are in this room. I am going to very quickly read, because these women are so accomplished. So we've got Dr. Karen Erickson. She's an integrative health expert, chiropractor, and craniotherapist practicing on the Upper West Side. Karen, come on up. Spokeswoman for the American Cardiac Association. She has been on the Today Show, CNN, New York Times, Wall Street Journal. It goes on and on. She has co-founded the Chiropractic Women's Health Council and lectures on how posture and stress affect women. Welcome, Karen. We have got Dr. Jamie Blau. She is also a chiropractor and also is just in the process of finishing up her, acupuncture degree, sorry, I jumped ahead, sorry. It's my ADD. Her office is located above the famous Steps Dance Studio, right above Fairway. And being on Broadway, she sees many performers, dancers, musicians, artists from all walks of life. She loves seeing teenage girls because she feels like one of them, and I can attest for that. She's so good with my girls. She loves her job so much and decided to get her acupuncture degree to expand into Eastern healing. So come on up, Jamie Blau. So we have Lyn-Genet. Okay, you have to pronounce your last name for me properly. Recitas, okay. She's a sports nutritionist, NMT, Have no idea.
Osteotherapist.
Thank you, there you go. Holistic health practitioner. She has been in the New York Times, international bestseller author of The Plan and the Metabolism Plan, which talks about anti-inflammatory nutritional protocol, and it has been published in over 15 countries. She's been featured on Dr. Oz, CBS, NBC, Fox News. She and her staff of doctors and nutritionists have helped hundreds of men and women to reach their best health by finding their chemical responses to food, and that is so important. What you eat is not necessarily what you can eat. She's also opened up notable restaurants such as Balthazar, Batiste, and is just opened up her new own restaurant, Lyn-Genet Kitchen, up in Hamilton Heights. Come on up, Lyn-Genet. And then we have Dr. Jenise Parris. She is an acupuncturist. She is an herbalist, an aromatherapist, founder of Parris Wellness. She is also Oprah Winfrey's personal acupuncturist. She also makes sure that she takes care of the skin of Michelle Obama. And no, I'm only kidding. No, I'm sorry. I just forgot to get the rest of her cards, so I was just gonna. She's very accomplished, but I didn't write the rest of it down. But she's gonna tell the rest. So come on, Jenise. So I'm just going to kind of try to blend you in all together. But one of the things that I want to do is to say that every time I go to Jamie and my back is out, and I think about people that don't go to the chiropractor because they're afraid or because they can't afford it. I think about the pain that they're living in, and then the amount of medication they're taking. I mean, it just changes your whole life. And you just adjust me, and I feel better. I mean, I really do. I mean, obviously, if somebody's broken their back in a car accident, it's a different thing. But so tell me, why would somebody go to a chiropractor? I can tell you why people don't go to chiropractors, but why should they go to a chiropractor?
Everyone should go to a chiropractor because you have to have proper alignment so that your body will function more efficiently. And it's very common for people to come in and have been afraid to go to the chiropractor, and over time, just like people don't have perfect teeth, not everybody has a perfect spine. It's very rare where somebody comes in and I look at them and say, oh, you're fine. That doesn't happen too often. And so it's often, we'll see one hip is higher than the other, one shoulder is higher than the other. Some of it's hereditary, some of it's posture, some of it's sitting at a computer all day. And have you all heard sitting is the new smoking? Which I actually did a little research on that today. There was actually a physician who did this study and said that. And there was about 300 studies after that somewhat confirmed that sitting is the new smoking. And it's a little bit dramatic because smoking is really terrible for you. So there were a few people who said that's kind of, too far, going too far with it. Right. However, when you think about it, we spend too much time sitting. And that is one of the reasons that I actually became a chiropractor. I don't know if you know this, but when I was 23 years old, I just somehow, you don't know this, I somehow just knew I didn't want to sit for work. I just don't want to sit at a desk. I knew that. You're probably one of the only other people that doesn't sit for too long at a desk.
Right.
Maybe 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Maybe 5 minutes, but the majority of people do sit at all day.
Well,
and that was a major reason I decided to go into chiropractic. And I actually feel so blessed that I made that decision. I know you feel the same way, because we get to stand up and talk, interact with people, adjust people. It's always fun. It's always an interaction,
right.
And it's just wonderful. And,
right.
And I'm not sitting.
And you're very good at it. And you're very, very good at it.
Thank you.
One of the things that I realized when I was, a lot of us, remember the BlackBerry? Okay, so the BlackBerry started it because you were like this. Now I have to talk and text, but a lot of you don't. I constantly am talking into my phone. I don't use my fingers. But what would happen is that I ended up getting this carpal tunnel, okay, also from the computer. But crazy thing was, I basically could not move my arm. The entire thing was inflamed. And when I got adjusted properly, it was in my neck. It was not in my arm. So here I am, I'm wearing a brace, I'm like going to an arm doctor. It wasn't that, it was in my neck. So something happened, it was out of whack in my neck, and then it ended up shooting down my arm. And it didn't feel that connection. So when you're not, and I think everybody on this panel, it's about listening to your body, okay? And one of the things that we talked about, and I tried to speak to everybody before we came and said, like, and it was the recurring theme of listening to your body. So Lyn-Genet works a lot, and the reason why I was drawn to you is about inflammation, because inflammation is really the underlying cause of almost every single disease. So can you just explain that a little bit, and then let's talk about kind of food and...
All right. Well, I'm sure everybody has been reading about inflammation, depression, biome, gut health. It's pretty exciting stuff. And when I first started with my work, everybody said I was kind of a witch doctor and crazy because I was talking about this, 10, 12 years ago. What was very interesting is that I was finding that it's not, that it's not the nachos and margaritas that we need to be concerned about, because obviously you're not knocking those back expecting to be vitally healthy. But it's fun and you should have fun. But healthy foods can cause inflammation. And what's healthy for me might not be healthy for you. And so you could be having the strawberries and the quinoa and the salmon and the Greek yogurt and be 30, 40, 50, 100, 200 pounds overweight. And you could also have some serious diseases. And I found this in my practice, which originally was on 128th Street in Harlem, nice little community center. And I started to gather data, and I started to teach people how to find the foods that worked for their body. And what was pretty amazing is that when we found the healthy foods, and I can tell you right now, every single person in this room is eating at least 3 healthy foods that are causing inflammation. And that inflammatory response can last for 72 hours. That's going to cause premature aging, weight gain, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cancer, depression, hormonal dysfunction. That whole idea that metabolism slows as you age is just a myth. What is true is that the foods and the lifestyle choices that you can make, how much exercise you do, can slow your metabolism. So I developed a method that allows you to be the expert of you. I developed a method that allows you to test the foods that you eat. So if the turkey burger is causing 2 pounds weight gain and inflammation, and the beef or the chicken burger or the lamb burger is not, I'm not telling you to not eat burgers, right? I'm just saying don't eat the foods that make you sick.
So how would you know that, though?
Well, when we hear as
About
a
what you were
researcher-
saying about the bloating, because I think that was a really good thing.
First of all, I'm going to say, as a researcher, we need to just go take it back a little bit. As a researcher, I can tell you, if you're reading a study, and if you actually look through the studies and it says 60% of the people in this study did really well with XYZ, you should eat XYZ. But is 60% a really good number? How often do you fall in the 40% that it doesn't work for, right? So here you are kicking your butt, trying really hard to do XYZ. Some of the time it's not working for you. Now remember, that inflammatory response can last for 72 hours. Premature aging, disease, weight gain. Right? That's what's happening. So rather than relying on the experts, I want to give you the tools to understand how your body is talking to you. Every single day, your body is saying to you, hey, this sucks. I love you. I'm going to let you know this doesn't work for us. You're going to have joint pain. You're going to have a migraine. You're going to have depression. You're going to have bloating. You're going to have constipation. You're going to have hot flashes. You're going to have sleep issues. And so often we're saying, dang nabbit, Normally I curse a lot more, but my freaking knee. But your knee's only bothering you when you're eating that food that doesn't work for you.
Right.
So if we can turn that dynamic around, and this goes back to what Ann was saying, what all of us are saying is, we're all trying to give you the tools to understand your body is talking to you. It's saying, I love you. It's saying it through weight gain. Okay, that's weird, but it's true. It's saying it through pain. Once again, it's weird, it's true. But that allows us to listen. And what all this panel is here for is for you to start understanding that there are modalities that you can go to outside of your doctors, because our doctors just aren't taught this.
Well, they're treating the symptoms. So I have this actually, Lyn-Genet was introduced to me, I guess through, was it Leslie?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Leslie Jane Seymour, who ran More Magazine, and you were Leslie's listener, I guess. So anyway, so I ended up having my shoulder rip. It actually, it was not, I don't want to say, it was a chiropractor that was not Jamie, but somebody moved my arm in a way that they had always moved it, and it ripped, and I saw stars, like I thought I was going to pass out, and it was partially torn. And so I then ended up going to a series of doctors that were treating me for this torn shoulder, okay? But in the meantime, when I'm getting up from bed, my feet kind of hurt. And my arms just, my fingers just felt like they just didn't feel, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm 56, but I'm like, but at 55 and a half, I didn't feel like this. Why is it acceptable that we're gonna have arthritis? Like, what happened? Like, you shouldn't be having arthritis. It's just not a natural thing. So anyway, I was in so much pain. I ended up going to a doctor, and he said, well, you probably had some underlying inflammation there before. And then I started to talk to a bunch of my different friends who talked about ripping and tearing of certain things that they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have had it. And we talked about inflammation. And I have such ADD. The thought of reading your book would put me over the edge. So I thought, okay, I know I have inflammation, and I think I'm really healthy, and I'm having all these healthy foods. Let me just look at like the plan for dummies. I like looked at some of the top tier foods that might cause inflammation. Cauliflower, sorry kids, I served it today. Cauliflower, sushi, rice, and red wine. Now,
Actually, red wine's not on there. Red wine's fine.
okay, it was something else, but it was it was definitely cauliflower, and it was definitely sushi rice, and those were two things that cauliflower is now in everything. There's cauliflower pizza, and I think I'm loading up on cauliflower that it's fabulous. But what it was doing was literally inflaming my body, so that when somebody would do something a normal way, or I would move a certain way, that it was going to tear. And that's why I think what's happening is that we're injuring ourselves. But then the doctors only teach that only will treat then what the after effect is. Why did my shoulder just rip? So the sushi rice, I just was having a lot of open houses, and I was eating a lot of sushi. I stopped it, and my hands felt better, and my legs felt better. So I say that only because if you think that we can't go and do preventative care, right, to figure out how we can be more healthy, the problem is you're going to end up in the hospital, or you're going to end up spending much more time and energy and money at the doctor treating things that are preventable. You don't have to be in that pain. So tell me in terms of, when you say about inflammation being kind of the underlying cause, why would inflammation cause cancer? Like, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense necessarily.
So when you think of inflammation, you can think of it as the match to the wick of your genetic history, right? So when people say high cholesterol runs in my family, it doesn't mean you have to have high cholesterol, right? Alzheimer's runs in my family, it doesn't mean you have to have Alzheimer's. Same thing with breast cancer, right? But what does wind up happening is that inflammation is the match to that wick, and it causes things to explode in your body. So we have to recognize that over the age of 35, we start to lose digestive enzymes, stomach acid, and saliva. So that poses a twofold problem. One, the diets that worked for us in our 20s and early 30s are not working anymore, so what do? Well, we beat ourselves up, we blame ourselves, I suck, right? Whereas my friend, why does it work for me? I'm a bad person, right? My body hates me. Your body doesn't hate you, it's actually loving you. And by not identifying those foods that don't work for your body, keeps causing this chronic low-grade inflammation. So when you're 35, it might be 3 foods. By the time you're 45, it might be 5 foods. By the time you're in your 50s, it could be 7 foods. Now remember, I said that inflammatory response can last for 72 hours. Your body always wants to heal. I want everybody in this room to remember that. And I also want you to remember that your body burns the most calories when it's healing. So has anybody weighed themselves at night and weighed themselves in the morning and they've lost 3 pounds? They're like, I should just sleep for a week. And I'm like, boom, I'm there, right? That's because your body's healing. It's not through exercise that your body loses weight. It's through deep healing. Your body always wants to be in a state of homeostasis, which means, as everyone on this panel knows, it wants to repair. That's what we're all working to do here. But your body is always going to divert energy from healing to digestion. That's because when we were hunters and gatherers, there wasn't a Whole Foods, right? So we didn't know when there would be food. So if we'd see an antelope, we'd kill an antelope, your body would say, great, I'm gonna stop repairing your heart, your liver, your lung, your thyroid, and your hormones. Boom, I wanna rapidly digest these nutrients. I'm gonna stop some repair so I can do this, because if I don't, we'll die. Right? That's a great balance. But remember how I said that as we age, we start to lose a lot of those digestive enzymes and stomach acid and saliva. And now you all know that you are all probably eating 3 foods that don't work for your chemistry.
Now, your chemistry at this age.
Right, so what happens? Now your body's not repairing your heart, your liver, your lung, blah, 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 blah. It's going to digestion. And that inflammatory response can last for 72 hours. How do we stop this cycle? One of the ways, and the major ways, to find the foods that work for you. So for instance, as a former vegetarian, I have to say, my body hates beans. I just retested lentils and I gained 1.8 pounds from 2 tablespoons of lentils.
Because you should not feel bloated when
Ever.
you finish a meal.
Actually, I felt good after the meal. That was the weird thing. I'm probably so happy to eat lentils.
But you know
yeah,
that
you
there's
should
some
never feel
food, and
bloated.
it's not that you've
You should
eaten
never feel bloated.
Right, you should never feel bloated. You
Here's
know
the
that
deal.
it's your body.
scale's
Like,
your
listen
best
to your
friend.
body.
How many people have stepped on the scale after a day of eating healthy and say, how's that number there? How did I gain weight from that healthy day?
Right.
And then you spend the day eating cookies and you don't gain weight and you're like, I should go on the cookie diet, right? That's because healthy foods can cause inflammation.
Right. So in terms of just kind of keeping your energy in line, I mean, I just also think about it starting with posture, starting with your energy needing to flow through your body so that you can heal. I think that also talks about, that kind of points towards acupuncture.
Right.
And in terms of making sure that energy and that you're keeping the energy going through your body so that it can be healthy and it can heal.
Well, that's the whole thing. We're talking about homeostasis. Acupuncture is based on that.
What is
homeostasis? Being balanced, being healthy on all levels, whether it be your musculoskeletal, your digestive system. So Chinese medicine is very simple, is that when there's free flow, there's no pain or dysfunction. And when there's lack of free flow, there's pain and dysfunction, whether it be in your digestive system because you're eating the wrong foods, or you're so stressed out you can't sleep at night, or your hormonal system's out of balance, whatever that is. I was very attracted to this medicine because when I moved to New York City as a dancer, I was in extreme pain and nothing could help me except I went to this acupuncturist that scared the hell out of me, by the way. And I went in and I was like frightened to death, but I felt immediate, I guess it would be chi, my energy flowing. I've never experienced anything like that. I didn't know anything about it. And I felt my body healing. So acupuncture, or the practice of it, it's not just needles, it's also lifestyle, what you're talking about with diet, it's education. It's not, if I put a needle in and you're gonna be healed forever. Tell people, if I could do that, I'd have lines out my office and you'd call me Jesus. So no, we have to learn to listen to our bodies. I've used that line. Yeah. So I tell no.
Well, you work a lot with people in terms of balancing their hormones. I mean, this
so
is
the big part of my practice is hormonal balancing, whether it be for fertility, which that was a big surprise to me. My whole practice turned into IVF and you know, a lot of fertility, and then hormonal balances because of going through menopause. I was going through menopause and like night sweats, and I couldn't sleep. I'm like, what the hell is this? I used acupuncture and herbs and did not rely on, you know, heavy-duty medication to get through these transitions. Our bodies want to heal. They do heal naturally. Acupuncture is placing the needles in, kind of reminds our bodies how to heal naturally, which we do. We have that innate ability. Sometimes we need bigger guns and need to go and get medication. My husband just had a heart transplant. Talk about medication. But he was the fastest healing one there, and I say, well, I'd like for you to tell everybody, I kept your ass alive. But I'm just saying. He goes like this. And so, yes, we had to go for the big guns, but yes, he recovered very quickly and was out of the hospital in 10 days, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
So we see, I'm all about integrating and not like, don't use one thing versus another. We need to integrate and educate, and for Ann to bring us here as practitioners to share what we know. I spend my days joyously healing and helping people find their way to heal, whether it be, like you said, find out what foods work for you. I used to be a personal trainer, had my exercise, you know, business for years, and I said, not everybody should be doing the same exercises. Not everybody should be eating the same foods. Not everybody, and that's the part of acupuncture that I love, or Chinese medicine, and that we look at patterns. The people that come into us, what makes you different, what, you know, and meeting there. So we're really working from individuality, which I love this medicine so much.
Let me ask you a question. Who has been to an acupuncturist?
Yay!
Okay, good. All right, there we go.
That's amazing.
Love that. Good for you. So who's amazing? Who's afraid of the needles? Who would not go, right? So it's funny because that is a big fear, it's a huge fear. And one of the things that I saw was really, really helpful. I had a daughter that had chronic, really bad sinus infections to the point where she had to have surgery because they couldn't even give her the antibiotics to get it out. I mean, it was just stuck. And she was out of school for a month. I mean, she was little. It was terrible. And so I didn't want her to have these recurring sinus infections, and so I wanted her body to stay healthy. Right. And actually, that's how I ended up meeting you. But wait, I'm going to circle back for 1 second. Yeah. So I want you to look at Jenise's skin because it's beautiful. Okay, not to say right, but so she does a lot of needles in your face. So that would be freaky to me, and I've had it, okay?
Yes, you have.
I definitely have. But tell us a little bit about that, because you work a lot with skincare.
Well, I do. Yes, I have a skincare line too, but I mean, that's just
which is all organic.
But that's part of the healing process. Taking care of our skin is reflective of what we eat and drink and hydrate and our stress. But the needles, I don't like the word when they say acupuncture facelift. I just, or if there's something wrong with you, so we.
I just like facelift.
But I don't like facelift.
I'll just take that part.
So you think of like it's bringing blood flow and circulation and releasing a lot of tight holding patterns we have, whether it be in our neck and shoulders. So I use things like gua sha and jade rollers and microneedling. So there's other ways. It's not something that I promote first. First, you've got to be healthy before we even start going for the cosmetic acupuncture. But yes, the needles, and I do a lot of sinus problems. There's a lot of, so many people come to me with sinus issues, and I will surround their face with needles.
But that's
and
all.
It's extremely
Sorry.
tough.
That's also an inflammation.
Yes, it is.
Right? Actually, I just wanted to say the sinus stuff is huge because
Yes.
Huge.
healing your sinuses means that you're going to be less prone to issues like GERD, autoimmune disorders.
What is GERD?
We're acid reflux.
Sorry,
so from
thank
our
you.
sinuses down to our colon, we're one long mucosal chain. If you're suffering from chronic sinus problems,
So
you know it's going to
common.
go down
Yeah.
that chain. So
Right.
bravo.
Getting like, the drip, and so I treat a lot of that.
I have questions. Does that affect your teeth?
Yes.
Yeah.
the roots of the teeth go into the sinus.
In my search of trying to find, again, doctors, especially with children, treating the problem and not the source of the problem. Why is my child getting these horrible sinus infections? How could that be happening over and over again? I mean, it was the same thing with my infertility. I ended up having 4 miscarriages. Why was I? Well, I was old. I wasn't old. I was 33 or 34 years old. Why was it constantly happening at 9.5 weeks? That didn't make any sense to me, but everybody kept saying, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I had a clotting disorder. You know, I mean, it's just like, that made sense to me, that if you're losing the baby at the same time after 4 in a row. But so you have to trust your gut. You have to keep your gut healthy.
Yes.
But you have to trust yourself. And you have to just sit back sometimes and say, sometimes doctors just don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
And ask questions.
Right, and ask questions. And you know what, also, seriously, use the Facebook page. If anybody has a question, this is such a perfect example. My dad was going through radiation. He had like a 12-inch tumor taken out of his leg. He was a Duke, fabulous surgeon, but then he went to have radiation. And he was burned, and he was having these horrible, it was like raging, like horrible pain from the burns. But he left Duke. This is Duke. This isn't like some community hospital. No one told him how to manage the pain. I put on Facebook. Why I have to go to Facebook for medical care, I don't know. But let me tell you, at work, I went on Facebook and I put out, hey, anybody know how to treat radiation burns? Maury, my pharmacist from Chateau Pharmacy on 68th and Broadway, love him. But you really have to keep these small pharmacies alive. Okay, he's amazing.
Exactly.
He wrote to me. He goes, Anne, why wasn't I your first call? I'm like, typically the doctor's your first call, your radiologist is your first call. So he said, there's this paste that firefighters use, and you get it from a prescription, and they'll know about it, and I'll give it to you. Anyway, of course, we go to the doctor, they go, oh yeah, you could use that. What the hell? Anyway, puts it on, totally fine. So I want you to, we've got these wonderful medical professionals, holistic people here, but we also have this incredible wealth of wisdom in this room where if we've had experiences. Post it, ask a question, please use it. So when Riley was going through the sinus issues, I ended up in your office, and you don't remember this, but I loved you because you talked about cranial therapy, which made sense to me, that if she's having these sinus issues, that I had to work with diet, but I also had to keep her healthy, but I also had to kind of move things around, and also about vitamins. And you also were very, very clear about, and I think all of this, and I know Jennifer Leahy talks about meditation. And sometimes we feel like we can't do meditation, and we're not going to have enough time, I don't have the energy, I'm sorry, I'm not going to But so tell us a little bit about that, because we all have time in the day to breathe. Okay? Are we all breathing now? Is anybody not breathing? Okay.
Exactly.
So Karen, take it away.
Well, as a chiropractor and craniosacral therapist, I think a lot about the relationship between the structure of the body and the function. And I think the most powerful thing about the work I do is that it really affects the nervous system. The brain lives inside the cranium, the spine lives inside the inside the vertebrae, and when you have strains that are affecting the way the nervous system functions, your body doesn't function as well. Your digestion isn't as good, your immunity isn't as good, your hormones can be off, and you can have musculoskeletal pain as well. The nervous system is divided into a lot of different parts. There's musculoskeletal part of the nervous system, but there also is the whole autonomic nervous system, which controls all of the organs. So the kind of work I do not only affects neck pain, back pain, headaches, stuff like that, but really how your organs can function, the nerves that go to the organs, the circulation to the organs. So it can be very profound. And I think one of the other layers, because we do sort of go through like putting out the fire first, if you're in pain, if you can't move, we're going to handle that first. But one of the most powerful, the other thing I want to say, actually before I say that, is the nervous system, the way I think of it is that the nervous system is sort of like the closest part of your body to God, right? Like your nervous system is brilliant. It's the Einstein in your body. Like it never makes a mistake. If it has the right information, it always makes the right choice. If you cut your finger, it will know how many platelets to send and how to knit it together. And it's really like the interference in that. So what can interfere with it? Stress, inflammation, lack of sleep, a whole series of things, hormonal imbalances that can interfere with how your nervous system functions. And one of the things is really how your cranium is moving and how your spine is moving. So by simply realigning the spine, it's not like we're putting a vertebrae exactly back into place. We're really restoring, our bodies are dynamic things, so we're really restoring range of motion in the spine. Not so much putting a vertebrae back, but just restoring its range of motion so that the nervous system and the brain gets the proper information. It was interesting to look at the research. I had this notion for, sad to say, a good portion of my career that like the brain was sending a million messages out to my body all the time, bossing everything around and telling my body what to do. But in fact, our body is receiving a quantum leap more information from our body, like by a factor of like 100. We're getting much more information from our body into our brain. And so when you have these misalignments and these strain patterns in your body, cranial imbalances, it really affects the kind of the quality of the data that your brain gets. And how does that affect us? It really makes our nervous system more chaotic.
Well, talking about nervous system, because we were talking about stress.
Yes.
And we were saying that if we say to everybody in here, who here does not think meditation would help you? Okay, does anybody, like everybody, but who has the time to meditate, right? You're like, right, okay, good, I like that.
Yeah.
You're 15.
But I think that there's a wonderful cardiologist, Dr. Suzanne Steinbaum, who spoke at a couple of meetings that I've held, and she got my attention by saying that if you don't, we all talk about stress, and I just say, well, there's no way that I can't be stressed out. I'm a New York City real estate broker. Like, there's no way that I'm not going to be stressed out. Single mom, I just don't have. But the bottom line is that what it's doing to my body, and what that stress is releasing into my body, and that it's actually making me sick. So that's
And you're not
another
as
thing.
effective as a human, I would
That's
say
right.
that. So you're just not effective. You'll be more effective.
That's right.
You will.
You're
You can be
balanced.
more
Yeah,
badass
right, exactly.
if you take 15 minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
So I want, we talked about just taking a breath. And when you sit there in your chair right now, and you just go ahead, right? And you what in terms of wait? So tell me.
It tells you to breathe.
Oh no, stop it! Oh my God, this is like the best technology ever. Okay, it has to remind you to breathe. Stop it! Stop it! Oh my God.
It does. It hits your hand, and then you like this. And
We are all New Yorkers.
breathe. And
But that's great
Yes.
because if we all
it is. It actually is. I like it.
I have an app that I use every single morning, and it's free. And if you download it, it's not my app, it's an app I use. It's called Insight Timer.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me what that is.
Insight Timer gives you options for guided meditations, for stress, for sleep, for anxiety, for eating, for eating.
Are they talking to you?
Some of it. And then the other one, it has gongs and it has water trickling, it has monks on a mountain going. It has all these different things. So when you download the app, everyone should download it so you have it on your smartphone, and then wherever you are at any given time, you have a tool that will chill you out, tune you in, tap you on, tap you in, and turn you on.
Insight Timer is
Wait, hold on a second. Lyn-Genet, go ahead. I'm just
Insight
looking
Timer
for my-
is what I use.
Who here
And
has
I recommend it
heard
to all my patients. It's also one of the free ones.
It's free.
And
It's fabulous.
yeah.
Who here has heard that metabolism slows as you age and you believe it?
Say it again.
Who here has heard that metabolism slows as you age and you believe it?
You told me differently, Lynn.
It's completely untrue. And all the practitioners here, as well as I, are helping you to determine what causes cortisol to rise with you.
Yes.
What cortisol does is it imbalances your hormones and it attacks your thyroid, which is your master gland for your metabolism. So whenever you identify the stressors for you, whether it's a reactive food, whether it's a deadline at work, whether it's something going on with your family, and you find a way with whatever modality it is that we're discussing here, and you find a way to mitigate that cortisol, what you're actually doing is boosting your metabolism.
That's right.
And your thyroid's not only your master gland for your metabolism, but it's also the catalyst for everything you need for every cellular and metabolic function. Everything you need to heal and to be at your optimal weight and your optimal mood is due to your metabolism. Right. So when we say that stress kills and stress makes you fat, we kind of hear that, but we don't really connect with it. So what all of us are trying to do here is to help give you tools.
Yeah.
There are ways you can deal with that stress. It might be 2 minutes of exercise. It might be 6 minutes of exercise in the morning, right? It might be the app. But that stress will kill you. It will make you feel less than you. And you don't need to let it be the boss of you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, like, for me, meditation, having somebody talk to me, or I have to talk, I have to sit in a specific spot, or I was like, I can't do it. And Suzanne said something to me which was basically like, it's going to kill you, because it will give me, like, there's sometimes where I can't breathe, like I feel like I'm having a heart attack, and it's because I just have to, I can do the same amount and maybe more if I meditate in the morning.
Yeah.
Because if I just take my body and calm it down, and just give it a break and let it sleep for a second, because that's what you're doing with 15 minutes.
Yeah.
TM, Transcendental Meditation, I will tell you, Jennifer Leahy, thank you, Jesus, okay? It really works, and I can sit anywhere, I can just close my eyes, I don't have to, also, that was the other thing, did not want to have to not have my mind wander. I was like, no, that's not an option.
Yeah.
My mind is gonna wander, so I can't do this. My mind can wander.
okay.
I can have ADD meditation. That is what TM is.
That's right.
Okay?
That's
So it's
what I
all good.
want.
Anybody ADD? It's all good.
And there's-
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to also say that there are so many like low-tech ways to recover from stress. So avoiding stress is nice, but like, let's face it, really the game is recovering from stress. And the idea is to try to find a way to relax while you're awake. So we all need more sleep than we get. I mean, I have so many patients who are getting 5 hours, 6 hours. They're kind of like chronically jet lagged all the time. So the sleep can help, but if you're not getting the sleep, you can meditate. But if you can't meditate for 10 or 15, 20 minutes, you could do a breath. You have time for a breath. So one of the tricks to change your nervous system from fight or flight to the parasympathetic relaxation phase of the nervous system is to just inhale like for a count of 2 and exhale for a count of 4. So you exhale like twice as long as you inhale. You can do that for one breath. I did it on the cab on the way here, and it's kind of luxurious. Like, can you take one luxurious breath while you're in the elevator? I also love Amy Cuddy's like power posing, like a way to really decrease cortisol and increase testosterone.
Put your feet above your head.
Yeah,
right.
You can put like your legs up the wall and like lie on your back, and just you lie on your side. You kind of stick your butt against the wall, and then you flip your legs up. You can do it on your bed against the bedboard. You can do it on the floor. Super simple.
There are no excuses.
Even
That's
if you
what
have
we are
back
saying.
problems, you can keep your knees bent a little bit. You put your legs. You reverse the blood flow in your
Okay.
legs. It relaxes. Legs up the wall.
Well,
You can actually-
okay, so Kate is like the party planner of life, like the $1 million weddings. So
Stress-filled party club.
right, exactly. Talk about a stress-filled life, but that's what I want you to know. Sorry.
Yeah.
I need to know this, but
Right.
Yeah.
Legs up.
Explain that again.
I'm sorry, hon. What?
Up the wall. And then
Like you're in an L shape.
Just
Your
basically
back-
your back against the floor, your feet up, just to get some blood. Okay, so
comes me.
yes, it will darling. It will absolutely calm you.
It's
Okay,
yoga. Who's the yoga person?
I want
You
you.
haven't met my brides.
I want you each to give your number one stress reduction tip, and then I want to open up the for questions. Got?
There are, obviously, reducing inflammation is going to decrease stress, but that's not always, the quickest and fastest way to decreasing stress. So there are two things that I really love to rely on. One is a supplement called SAM-E. What it helps to do is
sorry,
it
what
helps
is
to, it's called SAM-E.
Okay.
And it's been used since the
Write this down. You got the
1950s
pads and the paper
in
there,
Europe.
kids. Write it
Works
down.
as a natural antidepressant. And what it does is it boosts serotonin or dopamine, whichever neurotransmitter you're weaker in. So what it does...
SAM-E.
Yeah. Source Naturals is a really good brand. Jarrow's generally a good brand. So what it does is it doesn't change the stress in your life, but what it does is it mitigates the effects of cortisol, and that's super important. 600 milligrams, just when you're stressed, can literally take the edge off of your day. And when I start working with, clients, and I only have them taken on an as-needed basis, literally within 20 to 30 minutes, they're feeling better. That tends to work really well with depression, as well as stress. If you tend to have more anxiety, and anxiety is really affecting your sleep patterns, which I'll see a lot, lemon balm is one of my favorite herbs. Lemon balm is great because it's a weed. Not weed. It's a weed, so you can grow it in your garden if you're a gardener. It's in the mint family.
Do you have it as a tea or
You
is
can
it?
have it as a tea, or you can take it as a capsule. If you're finding that you're having anxiety, 500 milligrams as a capsule or as a cup of tea works very nicely. And if it's affecting your sleep, 1,500 milligrams taken around 5 p.m. works, because what it does is it gently unwinds you from the stress of the day so you have a deeper sleep. Of course, everybody here on this panel knows when we have a deep sleep, then it's allowing our body to repair, and then we're not as stressed out the next day. Right, so my goal is never to have, and I'm sure everyone here feels the same, is never to have you on supplements or herbs for the rest of your life, but what we want to do is get you out of this critical situation. Supplements and herbs can act as a catalyst for what your body can do naturally, but usually by the time most people come to us, I think the stress levels are here, and so your body just can't do what it's supposed to do, and once it's around here, you're going to find that you're not going to need it as much. So those are my two favorites.
Sleep. Sleep. I can tell you right now that I would almost guarantee that 90% of the people in this room, and this is not a scientific test here, but are people that can't say no. I say no. If I don't feel well, no. I'm not going to do it, and I go home and I go to sleep. And the story I will tell you is Lauren knows all of this. I went through a terrible breakup, and I got shingles, like about a week later. Nobody can get over shingles faster than I got over shingles. First of all, we know chiropractic helps with it because it lies in the spine. So I didn't even know I had it because I had no pain, okay? And I saw the glimmer of pain, like what it would be like a day or two after. But what I did was I canceled my patients. It was under an area where I could not have infected anybody, but I didn't want to. I canceled. I said, I have shingles, you can tell them, I told my assistant. And, it was a Friday afternoon, really busy, my busiest time. I said, that's it, I'm going home. I went home, by Monday I was fine. I did get the Valtrex, you have to. That's the time when you do have to listen to the undies. And I took every supplement that was in my house every 2 hours, and I did not move for 3 days. I stayed in bed. And I got over it in 3 days, and that's almost unheard of. And the only other thing I want to mention that's not on this topic is I want everybody raise their hand when you said acupuncture. I'm not so sure everybody would raise their hand when you say chiropractic.
Yeah, who has not been to a chiropractor?
Well, still pretty decent, but people think we're always cracking. We don't like
and
that
they're
word.
not.
We say adjust. I've had 98-year-old patients and I've had newborns. You see a lot of pediatrics. I know that you do. You do a lot of cranial on the kids. And I remember the 98-year-old, he lived till 114. He was the oldest man, one of the oldest men in the United States. He was in the paper. He lived, and so, you know, obviously they have brittle bones. They're not as strong. There's many ways to do things. I have a table that stretches, that just goes like this really gently. We do cranial, I do some cranial.
It's life-changing.
There's a lot of ways to work the nervous system. That's our tool, is the nervous system. It doesn't always have to be what eggs crack. Spine adjusts. We say adjust. Now, if you're my friend Lauren here, she says, I keep going until I get it. She likes it. So some people like that. If somebody comes in and says, and it helps her tremendously, and it helps Anne. And so sometimes it's the quickest way to get to where we want to get to.
Right.
And sometimes people want that quick fix. But if sometimes it's not appropriate, and we do a full exam, we do dissection in medical school, and we know when it is and is not appropriate.
Right.
So I just wanted to get that message across.
Absolutely. On the Wise and Wonderful Women's Facebook page, there was a commercial that a friend of mine, Emma Hemming, did with Saks Fifth Avenue, and it was talking about saying no and not apologizing. So I thought that was, I loved her for doing it. But I think that's, you know, I think it's a female thing. There's a lot of apology. Even the way that I speak sometimes, I'll say, even when I know I've been doing real estate for 35 years. I know I am like the best in the business. I know what somebody should be doing. And I find myself saying, I think we should, or, you know, I'm like, no, we should. Like, why am I saying I think we should? Like, or maybe we should think about, like, you know, so it's like we need to own our power, our knowledge, but also really know our limits, because you can't keep giving to people where it's an empty abyss. You can't keep giving yourself, because then you won't have anything else to give to yourself, and you will be no good. You will be dead. So we just, you know, I just say to you, in terms of a stress reliever, saying no can be probably the biggest stress reliever that there ever is. I just can't. I would love to, but I can't, because I'm taking care of me, because I want to be good for everybody else.
Right.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about oxytocin. Oxytocin is the love hormone. It's
Let's talk about that love hormone. Okay.
So how great it would be to get adjusted, how great it would be to get a massage or get
Or a date.
craniosacral or acupuncture. But what about giving somebody a hug? What about just massaging your own body? Touch. Being in community. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone. So it's produced during sex in men and women, but it's also produced when you give birth, it's produced when you hug somebody. And it's really why they think women live longer than men. It creates community. So they talk about the research that if you have 3 friends that know each other and you get together, that's so powerful, because you know each other's history. And any friend is amazing and sacred, but like creating community, oxytocin, touching each other, giving people a hug, getting your skin touched is
Skin hunger.
Skin hunger.
Janae.
Well, I use a lot of, touch is a major part of my practice, and what I teach people is acupressure points that can de-stress you. So one everybody can use is right here. It's your little bone at the side of your hand. It's called Heart 7. And I like using this just to rotate, to press. This is very calming for the body. And so I like to teach a lot of my patients rituals or things they can do to calm themselves down. And you can press it, you can tap it. There's no set way, but that's the acupressure to stimulate the heart meridian. That's very calming. And a lot of times I'll use essential oils. I always use essential oils in my office. People go like, oh, I smell. When I get off the elevator, I smell. And I know that the smell is immediate. So I use a lot of essential. Actually, I brought some facial mist that I'll just share around.
We should be missing each other.
We can miss, yeah, we can miss. Because essential oils, authentic essential oils, are immediately calming. That's the reason I use scent in my office immediately, or touch. You know, if somebody's just even frightened, just touching certain points. I teach a course, self-healing with acupressure. Once again, educating how we can de-stress.
Right.
How we can take care of ourselves, how we can create ritual in our lives for healing ourselves. Because so often I feel like in women we're giving our power away, like, help heal me, tell me what to do, whereas really we have that knowledge. And so just reminding ourselves, but creating that ritual. And so touch, whether it be hugging, touching ourselves, and with the intent of calming down.
One of the things I want to say here also is that there is such a weird thing going on with social media and just our generation, and especially with our kids, and I hate it. It has to do with dating, it has to do with friendships. If everybody in here met somebody today and called them up tomorrow and said, let's get together for a drink or for dinner, like, people are so weirded out. It's just like, oh my God, like, call somebody that you met tonight and get together. Or say, would you like to do something? But I think what we really should all do is go to your restaurant. Like, I'm gonna put, no, seriously. No, we really should. I'm gonna put a night, and I'm just gonna put it out there, and we should all go to your restaurant. We will be eating healthy. But also, we should just go and get together, because getting in front of people and having a connection, that's what it's all about. Like, who the hell, like, I don't need like 25 followers, like, friend me, like, who gives a shit about it? But it's like really about connection, because I think the best possible way, the best use of social media is to spread connection. But if you don't actually meet in person, it really doesn't matter very much, quite honestly. So does anybody have any questions? Trish, so wait, Trish has come. Okay, Trish, I want you to, don't take this in a bad way, because it's so meant the right way. Trish is a great blogger. She's also come from, is it Bucks County? No. Bucks County. Okay, she has come from like 2.5 hours away. It's 2.5 hours away. Anyway, she is awesome. She wrote a book called
You're Only Getting Older and Uglier. Online dating now. It's the single mom's guide to online dating.
And it's basically, and what it means is, if you really want to make it happen, okay? And so anyway, don't wait. And she's great. And then, and also, I just want to also point out, because we actually did a singles Valentine's Day. We actually did a group for singles, and we actually had Jenise, who's an amazing photographer, like awesome photographer. So if anybody wants to get those headshots done, yes.
I love you so much.
I love you back.
Profound was used by you, and I just think everything you say is profound, and you put this all together, and thank you so much.
You're so welcome. So anyway, I'm sorry, going back to Trish, sorry, what was your?
Help with posture. I'm a writer, sit at my desk all day long, and I feel like I'm suffering more and more.
Yeah.
So, I know I need to get up and walk around and get a great desk chair, which I haven't done yet, but oh my God.
I'm gonna let Karen say this.
Wait,
the
I'm
one
sorry.
thing I was gonna say.
Were you adding something to that in the background?
I was just going to say, my name is Randy Stone. I'm a Pilates instructor in the studio on the west side. So I'm sure you have a lot to cover. I would just say core strength is really important.
Yeah.
And stretching. There's actually, if you look online, there's some chair Pilates or desk Pilates.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, since we've all been sitting here, everybody go home and do Cobra. At the end of the day, do you know what Cobra is? Everybody,
Right.
on you lie on your stomach. Yes.
There we go. Okay, here we are. That's the Cobra.
That's right.
One thing I want to mention, and then it's Karen's deal, because I know she does a lot with posture. We both do, obviously, it's all
Right.
I have to work on it all the time, and just on a side note, I met this very famous guy who was he was living in Hawaii, and he started Howard Stern, basically. He was the precursor from Boston. And he said, you're a chiropractor, you stand up straight, you're slouching. And I just looked at him, I said, you hold these things up. From that moment on, he loved me. So I have to work on it, and it's not so easy all the time to always, I tell people to check in the mirror, look, whenever you walk by, be a little vain, look in the mirror, your ears over your shoulders, but after you've been sitting all day, what people don't realize, I think that we're specialists at, is that back pain can often come from the front, and I'm sure.
That's right.
And the psoas muscle is your hip flexor muscle goes like this, and it's also the tenderloin, you should know. So what you have to do is stretch it out.
Right.
So do the opposite. Do the opposite. You're going to do one thing.
Spin.
You're going to do one thing, do the opposite.
You do extension.
It's called Cobra.
I can do
Sorry,
it.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm
You-
glad that yoga and Pilates is coming up in this conversation.
We have a lot of yoga. How many yoga instructors or Pilates instructors do we have in here? Okay? You are awesome.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
The question is, you know, how, for the chiropractors, can you just talk about or distinguish the value that the
Great
actual
question.
exercising of the muscles
Yeah.
and its impact on musculoskeletal alignment versus being adjusted, which is my experience of being adjusted, like, oh, you know, in 2 seconds I got my kick after a yoga class. But I also recognize that sometimes yoga done in a, you know, misaligned way can create obviously injury.
Well
So
said.
I'm just curious about
Yeah.
how to mitigate that.
It's one of my favorite dance. I mean, if you're misaligned, you won't get as much from yoga, but I think yoga is like body work you do on yourself, and Pilates as well. And I tell my patients, like, I can't exercise for you. I can't create core strength. I can't create muscle balance, like between the front body and the back body. But when you're aligned, like I tell people, you're going to get a lot more from your yoga class. You're going to be able to do more. Very often people kind of hit like a plateau where they're just not able to do something. And when you restore alignment, you're able to, your muscles actually will fire. You know, you have reciprocal inhibition. So if this muscle is contracted, this one has to relax. And if your body is discombobulated, that doesn't work as well. So I think the adjusting helps the exercise, but you need to move your body. Yeah, we are animals.
Yeah, we definitely are. And you know, if you don't have time to get to a class,
That's right.
because a good teacher, there's nothing better than being in a class with a room full of other people doing it. But if you can't, you can, there's, you know, the computer is a great thing. There are so many classes that you can just download and do and put in front and do it in your, you know, in your apartment. You don't have to have a class. So once again, you know, try to find a way that works for you, because just because you have to do it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to just, you know, for your temperament, your time, your lifestyle, necessarily find a way to do it. I'm sorry, go ahead, you had a question.
I have a question for all of the panelists. Let me just stand up. I think all of you are healers, and I think that this gift of hearing your wisdom is medicine for everybody in the room. So my question is a little bit broader in scale. If you could talk to your 20-year-old, 19-and-a-half-year-old self with the wisdom that you have gleaned, for those of us that are emerging into new careers or divorcing or remarrying, whatever that is, and please, I'm asking you to share too, what would you tell your 19-and-a-half-year-old self as wisdom that you've gleaned from all the collective work that you've done professionally, energetically, spiritually, and financially?
Well, I think the first answer is that when you're 19, don't expect to know it all. You know, just keep listening to your heart and listening to your path and keep following that path. And if you feel that something is strong and at your core, and people are saying you're wrong, you gotta ignore them. And that's what really happened to me when I first started talking about inflammation and gut function. People said I was a witch doctor. And now that's the hottest topic nowadays. And I would listen to all these people, and frankly, I couldn't even read the stuff online people were writing about me. I just had to say, I know my truth, and I know this is working for my patients. And that's all I know. And if you don't want to believe it, that's fine.
That's the best gut health that you could have. It's just trust your gut. Trust your gut. It's gut health in its best.
So listen to the folks around you, support yourself with a tribe that supports you, and just keep following your path. And when your path is ready to open, it's ready to open. There you go.
Don't worry.
Be happy.
That could be a song. Karen?
you know, early in my career, like I had a vision for what I really wanted to make, like natural health care, like as normal as apple pie. You know, there wasn't even the internet when I started my practice. It was just such a different, the biggest thing going was Good Morning America. Like that was sort of the internet of the day. And I wanted to be on Good Morning America. And I didn't even really know what it was that I wanted to do, but I knew how it felt. And I didn't really talk about it to a lot of people. I showed up, I was passionate about my work, but I just sort of had my vision, because I didn't want anyone to tell me my vision wasn't right or I didn't have the stuff. And it's kind of amazing, like, that I became the spokesperson for the American Chiropractic Association. I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, literally, they called me, I mean, it's the best non-paying job I have. But, like, I can do that. And I never could have conceived of that when I was just new in practice. But, you know, I had this vision that I just wanted to educate people, and the universe matched up that desire. So, and I look back at like journals I wrote, and almost everything I wanted to create, which is really experiences, has happened, and even more amazing than my young self could have imagined. So,
Jenise? I think that you're enough wherever you are. I see that a lot because now that I have these millennials coming in, I feel like I'm their mom because I have a millennial. And what I hear over and over that I'm not enough. One girl had some health issues and she really said I'm damaged goods, that she won't even date. I mean, there was a part of me that just, I couldn't even believe this came out of her mouth. So I guess the total belief and love of yourself and that you are enough right now at 19, or, you know, I'm going to be 65. And so wherever you are, that, you know, you're enough and you're okay. And I feel like the media comes at us all the time, especially with women. Not many men come in and tell me they didn't shave their legs before they saw me.
Apology.
I mean, somebody, I didn't relax myself, you know, like, but that you're enough. And I feel like that's at any age, and particularly young women coming up in this social media world where you're comparing everything. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have that, thank God. It was bad enough just being a dancer that I wasn't this enough or that enough. Or so I sort of wanted to raise my daughter with that feeling that she was enough, and she's gone off on a whole other, you know, tangent. But I guess that's what I would tell my younger self, that you're enough for right now, what you have, and you're amazing.
Yeah. I think also
that's what I feel.
It's enough, and it's also, I think it's so important. Again, social media is airbrushing life.
Right.
If we are not honest with each other, like I was just saying, I said, I can't, like every single day I screw up. And I make sure to put it on my Instagram story, because it's like, I'm not saying like I have this fabulous life. It's like, holy shit, I cannot believe I have a blue and a black boot on and I am at a meeting, and how do I like not let them know I have two different shoes on? Like every day something like that happens to me. So if we can get together and actually meet and say, like, this is how shitty I'm feeling, I'm having a hard time, I'm struggling. How can you possibly say that you feel alone in this city? Right. But it's an incredibly lonely city. So if you're able to share at a young age, or you know, now I just don't give a shit, right? So that's great. That's very freeing. But when you're younger, you do.
Exactly.
Right. So it's just like, I care because I want to be a good person, but I don't care because I'm not afraid that I'm going to be made a fool of. You know, like I could have been. Like even now, everybody's like, "Did you find a man yet?" It's like I just put an ad in the taxi. So what? Like, I don't care what you think. I don't, like, it's, and I couldn't get anybody to help me with that. Like, everybody was like, what? I was like, it's going to be great. People are going to totally respond to it. I trusted my gut, but most importantly, it's really important to just be warts and all. Like, you know, whatever you choose to do, own it.
It's very attractive.
And it's just,
exactly.
right?
It's
Trish, I love your posts, because it's like you talk about just not having it together. I think we should all just say how we are absolutely failing miserably every day, and just join.
And getting up the next day and still trying.
Exactly. I am so imperfect. It is awesome. I am perfectly imperfect. Does anybody have one more question? Okay, Kelly Ford. Wait, hold on. I just got to introduce Kelly Ford. First of all, Kelly is new to New York. So she is a DJ for the #1 country station in New York City, like with a million listeners. She's new to New York. She is awesome. And she called me up and she said, "Do you want to be on my show?" And we just couldn't even stop talking. It was like she had to hit the stop button, like, I gotta get up because people are listening. And I'm like, we gotta keep talking, and we did. And I'm like, we have to be friends. And you know what? I am not afraid to say to people, like, we're gonna be friends. Like, right now, we are gonna be friends. And that is like an odd thing. It can take people aback. But that's what we are gonna be friends, and we are friends. So anyway, answer the question.
Hopefully this will be relatable to the room. But I've lived my whole, it just makes me a little sad when you say sleep is important, because I've lived my whole adult life sleep deprived, kind of like a tortured prisoner. Honestly, there's always a light shining in my eyes, and I'm like confessing to crimes I didn't even do. I'm like, yes, I did. So when you say sleep is so important, literally I have to be up. I mean, I wake up every day at 4 o'clock. So to say no to this, I knew this would be what it is, which is magical. So I do try to take care of myself and say no to things. But I still, no matter what, the alarm rings at 4 o'clock, and I still look this great.
That's right.
I do think, the 3 years of my adult life I didn't do mornings. I was 20 pounds skinnier than I am right now.
Yeah. So there's a blood test that I like to get for folks that have, a lot of times we hear about adrenal burnout, and we'll get cortisol tests done, and they'll say your cortisol's high or cortisol's low, and it doesn't really give you much of a tool to do anything with it. And for a long time, I was working with a lot of NDs, and they were charging thousands upon thousands of dollars for all these protocols. And I decided to approach things a little differently, which is to look at pregnenolone. So pregnenolone is a base hormone, and a lot of times when people have been through times of extreme stress, if your pregnenolone levels are low, you can just supplement with pregnenolone. You want to do a low dose, maybe 5 milligrams for 4 to 6 weeks, and that will replenish your adrenals. If you don't have the money to do that, because it's not a blood test that a lot of doctors will run, I'll find using some adaptogens like ginseng or ashwagandha will help to replenish your adrenals. And during that time when you're taking it, that might be the time when you say, okay, if there's a special event, maybe I'll just do once every 2 weeks, because for right now, this healing process is more important to me so that I can go back into, committing to more events. But there has to be a time using, maybe seeing a chiropractor, maybe getting some acupuncture done, using the adaptogens, avoiding the foods that make you feel bloated or gassy. Those little things can do so much and put you back to where you need to be.
And even something like a meditation practice, like you might get up and do your show, and it might be like at 2 in the afternoon or 4 in the afternoon, where you just meditate. And I know that feeling when I'm meditating on a regular basis. By like I almost get like my eyes get stingy like a little kid, and I'm like, I feel like I need to, and I meditate, and it's like profoundly, like you don't even realize how exhausted we all are until you start to, and it doesn't have to be a 20-minute meditation. It could be like insight timer, a guided meditation if you're not a sit down and silence meditator.
I think we're going to throw a challenge to you. I think you should share it with your listeners.
And just saying no.
I bet it would freak people
You'd be
out.
friends with like all the nurses out there who are working weird hours.
I'm going to take care of myself. And what am I going to do to take care of myself today?
And what are you doing to take care of yourself?
Because everybody here in this room, who is taking care of them? Who can say, I am taking perfect care of myself. I'm living in luxury. I'm putting the lavender oils, I'm having the scented candles, I'm having the massage, I'm getting my gua sha on my face.
Well,
I
if
don't
do
think
1
so.
minute of that, see, then I have those like, okay, I'm gonna gua
Well,
sha
that's good.
now, and like, maybe that's 2 minutes, but at least that's my ritual that I chose that day.
Exactly.
12-hour day.
Exactly. All right. We are going to close. I want to thank our fabulous speakers. And I want to thank you all for coming. I want you to think of the women that you think would be great for this group. Please join the Facebook page. It just keeps us more connected. It's Wise and Wonderful Women at Facebook. And it's a closed page. You just have to you have to join. And then really share your questions, share your articles that you find. Just really let's become a growing community because this is really important. So thank you.
Thank you.